Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Needs Some Introduction. I'm your host, Victor, and on this podcast, we go week to week, usually breaking down a streaming favorite. But in this particular episode, Darren and I will be breaking down or counting down our Christopher Nolan rankings from worst to first. And quite a few surprises on this list, I have to say. But honestly, all these films are worth watching. Also, just before we started recording this conversation, the Emmy nominations were announced, and we react to them as part of this conversation as well. A few show notes. We continue to watch Cape Fear. We'll be wrapping this season up. I think we have 3 more episodes now. In our subsequent conversation, Sona and I have actually rewatched Gone Girl and discuss it there, along with a relatively brief commentary about this most recent episode of the show. And next week, a new show, kicking off a new season here on the podcast, Lucky, the Las Vegas-set Anya Taylor-Joy, Timothy Olyphant crime thriller. And in a not too distant future, once Cape Fear wraps up, I believe we will be covering The Savant, the much delayed Jessica Chastain series from last year, which was announced to premiere in July. So that is the plan, but it may change if that show does not premiere, of course. And one more thing, reminding everybody, we're now live on the Patreon. The Patreon is currently free, and Alan and I have been breaking down all of Nolan's films. If you hear this conversation and want to track down some of the more specific breakdowns of those individual movies, we got a couple of those in the main feed, Following and Memento, and then the rest of the coverage is in the Patreon feed. And all those episodes are free, so go check them out there if you're curious to see our opinions on those other Nolan films. And with that out of the way, let's get into my conversation with Darren. So Darren, Australia out of the World Cup, the US out of the World Cup now as well. Portugal out of the World Cup.
Yes, we got to follow some other team now. We were, pretty disappointing. I got to say, waking up at 1:30 in the morning to watch Australia go all the way to penalties and then be very disappointing in taking those. So, gone. Not interested in the World Cup anymore. That's false. I'm still interested in the politics and all the controversy. And we're getting down to the pointy end. So, my sweepstakes team, Norway, is still in. So, and they're looking pretty solid and pretty interesting. Their striker is pretty cool. So, a little bit
become like the celebrity of the games.
Yeah, I saw today Tom Holland hit him up to take him out to dinner at the F1 in Monaco, and he didn't know who Tom Holland was. So it was a pretty funny character.
Doesn't have time to go to the movies.
Exactly.
And today's episode will be discussing a whole bunch of things, actually, because this is a bit of a free-for-all. We don't really have anything new on the agenda, I guess, since Euphoria.
And then we did The Agency.
Oh, yes, of course. Yes, we did The Agency. And of course, we did Widow's Bay and now The Agency. Widow's Bay is actually going to tie into something I'm going to bring up here because they just announced, just about an hour ago, the Emmy nominations. So kind of run through those really quickly. But primarily what we're going to do here, of course, is The Odyssey's coming next week. And I checked in with Darren. And of course, on the Patreon, by the way, another way to pitch the Patreon here as well. Alan and I have been going through all of Nolan's filmography. We've made it so far to Interstellar, so we only have 3 more films to go. We were not able to make it to the deadline before the Odyssey to watch them all, but we might still squeak Dunkirk in before I go see the Odyssey next week in IMAX. I did book my ticket, and I have like a solo ticket, by the way. The IMAX was completely booked, but there was a solo ticket in a very early screening, 10 o'clock in the morning. Very early screening, right in the middle, like right in the perfect sweet spot. So I'm like, okay, I guess I'm going by myself, and this is where I'm going to sit. It is 10 o'clock in the morning, so I will have to go by myself. So
I have been slowly catching up with your conversations with Alan. So I've been listening through the Patreon app, and then I realized it's very easy to add that feed to your podcast player of choice. And so I think it was one click and I could add it. So now I can listen to all your conversations with Alan very easily in my podcatcher. And so, I've been dipping in and out and listening to you guys. I did buy my son and myself an Odyssey ticket for opening night next week. And pretty keen.
Excellent. And you have been watching the Nolan films with your son, right? This has been going on for over a year now, right?
Yes.
Or the ones he has asked to watch, right? Not all of them.
Definitely not all of them. I think we've watched Memento a few times. And,
such a great one.
Yeah. Interstellar, and which I think is possibly his favorite, and Inception he's really keen on as well.
Can't wait to get your opinion of Inception, but we'll be ranking them. So that I don't want to spoil things yet, because I actually don't know how you landed on that one, because I know we've gone back and forth, and I don't think you have a good relationship with that film, but you have watched it again with your son. So very curious. My opinions on some of these films have changed. So can't wait till we rank them, and we'll discuss whether we go last to first or first to last. We'll see which one is more dramatic. Before we get to that, I have an invitation. That's a little slip there. I had a recommendation. There's a movie that just started coming out in the US here. It's still in limited release. It's coming out in wide in the United States. I assume it'll be rolling out nation or worldwide soon thereafter. Have you heard of this movie called The Invite? Have you heard about this?
Absolutely, I've heard about it. Yeah, I'm just about to book a ticket for it tonight because it opens today and there's a cinema nearby that's showing it. So yeah, I'm really interested in it.
So I got to see it in limited release. It just is coming out this week. They had a sneak preview, one of these blinds. You buy a $5 ticket and you get to see the movie that's in there. And it was the best way to see this film. It had been playing in limited release, but like a sneak preview before it went wide. And this, I don't want to say anything about this, Darren, and don't read anything about this film. This is from A24. And people have already made this parallel that it's going to be one of those films like The Drama that people are going to talk about after they see it. And I will say that it is really funny. But wow, like if you go, I did not see this with my wife, but if you go see this with your wife, it's going to be a conversation starter, and it might be a rough conversation, I got to say. You guys might be laughing at completely different parts of the movie. That might be a conversation point later on. But it is, I think like A24 has a hit on their hands. It's going to be one of those movies that people are going to be just like me, going to be like, don't read anything about it. Just go watch it and then go have a conversation about it afterwards.
That's awesome. Yeah, well, it's in for date night tonight, so we'll see if we manage to go and see it. But yeah, all I know is the very bare bones setup of it, and it reminds me I've been to couples dinners,
yes,
possibly similar at other people's places, and detected a vibe. And that's all I'll say. I don't know anything about it. I haven't seen the movie yet, but yeah, I'm very interested in that vibe.
Yeah, and it's a great Seth Rogen and Olivia Wilde are this couple, and basically the whole thing, it's basically like a play. Olivia Wilde directing, by the way, doing a fantastic job of directing this. It is like a play, but making this type of thing have momentum and be visually interesting is actually very difficult. And I know people have bagged on her because of her last film, which I actually didn't think was that terrible, but because of the headlines and the Harry Styles relationship and all that stuff, she kind of got a lot of bad press at the time. But I think she's a very talented director, and this is a really entertaining script, and a lot of it is improvised and massaged. It's based on an existing movie, but very different in the way they massage the material. Rashida Jones is one of the writers here. She's a very talented writer. Actually, she's written some very interesting material as well in the past. And this is, it's just a lot of fun. And it's really just for people, like you said, it's just a dinner party. And the dynamic changes. We probably all had that experience of how you're having a conversation and you're aligned with your spouse. And then all of a sudden, like the men are ganging up on the women, but then there's kind of a flirtation that crosses the couples. And just that the dynamic changing constantly is so entertaining. And there is a twist that comes about halfway through. Not a big twist. It's more like understanding of what the night was about, which is really interesting. And it is, it's definitely going to be a conversation starter. And great performances. Seth Rogen, really great performance, by the way. Like Rogen has really become a good actor. When the movie begins, you really feel like he's doing the Rogen thing, his shtick. And then it's not. It's actually a little more, he's really become a very skilled actor. And Olivia Wilde is amazing. The performance she has to pull off, directing herself, by the way, not easy thing to do. And the balancing act of being hysterical and not knowing what's going on, and then knowing what's going on, and all that is really clever. Really, her performance is really impressive. And of course, the visiting couple, the neighbors who come to visit for this meal, are Penélope Cruz and Edward Norton. Edward Norton, who has this terrible reputation in Hollywood, but man, what an incredible actor he is. Really, just such every time he's on screen. And Penelope Cruz also playing perfectly like this kind of exotic neighbor who it seems like, she's a little more worldly than everybody else around her, but without being a caricature at all. Just fantastic. And it's basically the four of them. It's just a great, it doesn't sound like that much. Four people in an apartment talking to each other. It's fantastic. And it is so funny. So funny. It's so uncomfortable. So uncomfortable.
That's cool. I haven't seen Penelope Cruz for ages, but Ed Norton, I love him every time he pops up.
He barely acts anymore. He's like a billionaire now because of some patent he had on some kind of technology, and he's like all over Silicon Valley. But when he shows up on screen still, man, he's just fantastic.
Yeah, it was the complete unknown when I last saw him. He played like a famous folk singer. He was so good, yeah.
And Pete Seeger is terrific, yeah. Yeah, I forgot about that. He got an Academy Award nomination. He just pops up randomly and gets award nominations is basically what he does nowadays.
Wow, good on him.
Yeah, I know, right? Exactly. And deservedly so, I gotta say. Before I run down the Emmy nominations and get your opinion on some of these things, anything you've been watching you want to talk about?
Yeah, so I've been off. It's been school holidays, so I took the kid to see Minions and Monsters yesterday. So she was not interested in Supergirl.
Okay.
Sorry to DC, but yeah, not interested at all.
No one is.
Moana, live action Moana. I mean, we love the original Moana, and she was like, "Nah, that's more of a mum thing to do. Don't want to do that." So we went to see Minions and Monsters, and it was actually pretty good. I got to say, it's like it was set in like the 1920s in movie making in Hollywood. And these minions are kind of like the ultimate clowns. And it was there's a funny bit where actually sound comes to the cinema, and the minions, they can't speak, right? They speak in gibberish. So they were complete failures when sound came into cinema. So, it was one of those kids' movies. The kid loved it, full of kids. And if you need to take a kid to see it, it's a pretty good watch, I must admit. So the whole clowning aspect of it was quite interesting, and good way to pass the time.
And I mean, that's in a way, that's part of the reason the Minions have been so massively popular around the world, is because since they're not really language-based comedy, you think about a lot of language-based comedians here in the US that their films don't really box office-wise translate internationally. And no problem like that with the Minions, which they just talk gibberish all the time, so it's fine.
Yeah, insane. I'm sure it'll make an absolute packet.
Do you have any idea how the box office is doing that there in Australia? Because this film, for the first time in the whole entire history of this incredible success that has been this, I think this is the 9th Minions / Despicable Me film. This is like a massive series that has almost every one of these films has made $1 billion. And this one is just complete flop. It opened like less than half of what they were expecting it to open. So have you have a sense of whether that is happening in Australia as well? I haven't really tracked its box office there.
That's interesting. Well, to book the film, you had to go past Toy Story 5, Moana,
yes, which is
there was maybe another one. Yeah, so it's kind of slipped down the list. I don't even know how long it's been out, a week or two, and it's already slipped right down the list. So, yeah, there's a lot of competition out there. And I guess people prefer the Despicable Me films to the Minion ones. I don't know. I've seen quite a few of them in the cinema, and this is it's fine. It's exactly what you think it's going to be. So
right,
yeah.
But maybe with a little cinematic history, because this is, I think, the highest rated critically of all the Minions films. So, and not just Minions, including Despicable Me. So I think probably because it has like some Easter eggs for film fans, so the critics are probably gravitating to that.
There's a really cool opening sequence. It's kind of a credit sequence, but it goes through the history of film, starting with the very first moving picture of the horse racing, and then it goes through kind of, there's a George Melly's reference, and yeah, it's kind of cool. It was kind of something that I could latch on to that flies over the head of the kids.
Oh, by the way, speaking of that opening, that footage of the first man on horse, that famous footage. Couple of things. Sona and I'll be publishing this later this week. We rewatched Gone Girl, which is now on Netflix and has been in the top 10 since it premiered about a week ago. And it's been out of circulation on streaming for a while for some reason. But of course, we have the upcoming David Fincher film coming to Netflix, and he has this agreement with Netflix, the big Brad Pitt, Quentin Tarantino script that he adapted that's coming. Now, it was supposed to come out in August, but now they've delayed it to the fall. I think it's going to get a theatrical release as well. So that's always a positive thing to see. And very much looking forward to that. But I think that Fincher's films are all going to pop up on Netflix as part of that deal. And this is maybe one of the ones that has been kind of missing for a while. And watching that and just being like, wow, what an incredibly well-made film. And after watching Gone Girl, another thing that has popped up on Netflix very recently was recommended for me to watch, and it was Nope. Speaking of that footage of the man on horseback, that, famous, which is, of course, is central to that whole plot of the movie Nope as well. And I watched that as well. And watching Nolan at his best with this like TikTok filmmaking, and then watching Fincher in Gone Girl specifically, just being like, wow, this movie just moves. It's 2.5 hours long and it's just moving. It's just click, click, and just hitting all those little pleasure centers in your brain. And then I put on Nope, and Nope's of all the Peele films, it's the one that I have a little bit more of a complicated relationship with, because I feel like it's so ambitious, but it doesn't quite all connect for me. This time around, I have to say, and this is a much broader conversation, which we can't have now, but it made more sense to me. Like these different competing themes kind of came together in a way that it hadn't before. But I still want to bring it up because it's another one of these films that it's something magical in how Peele can make a film where scene to scene, there's all these like little mysteries he has inside the movie that never really fully feel resolved. So even if the film isn't working for me overall, every scene, it's like I can't help but be drawn in because they're like this. He just has the ability of creating these scenes, individual scenes that just pull you in. It's like really an amazing skill.
I love Nope. I think it's really underrated. I watched it with the kids a couple of years ago when it came out on digital, and because they want to see Get Out, they want to see Us. I'm like, you can't really see those movies. They're probably not suitable for you at your age. But we watched Nope, which is essentially a monster movie,
right?
And they loved it. They were like, that was a really good movie because it's so different. And as you say, there's all these little references to all sorts of things. It's all a big puzzle that comes together at the end, or doesn't. Right. But yeah, I think it's really underrated. Really love that film. I've seen it maybe 3 or 4 times.
I have a big read on the film now this last time around. But as I watched the film the first time, there was something about this idea that these creatures are like forces of nature that we can't contain, and this idea, this illusion that we can control it, but we can't, of course, is the creature in Nope, and it's also the story of this chimpanzee. So of course, that idea, right, the Jaws version of the story, and this is obviously Nope is directly mapped onto Jaws, right? You literally have like the shark with the buoys at the only in the air, right? So it's like, there's a 1-for-1 mapping of Jaws to Nope. But that's one part of what's going on. The other part that's going on is like this need to capture this image and own it and control it, and how that is racialized over the history of of cinema and just culture in general. And I'm like, how are these two things talking to each other? I don't get it. And I kind of got it. I think that it is the idea that you can be famous, that you can latch onto some kind of image or some kind of story, some larger narrative, and you can control that, is the parallel they're trying to drive, right? That even though you're like, this thing is probably going to destroy you, you can't not be pulled into that orbit of thinking like, this time I'm going to crack it. I'm going to figure it out, right? It's like the TMZ guy in the motorcycle at the end, and how he's committed to, and he's not the only one, right? Committed to that image to the very end, right?
Very interesting. Yeah. You've just brought so many different images back from that movie for me. The chimpanzee. Oh my God, that's horror for sure. Yeah. I'm going to be thinking about that next time I watch it, because I'm definitely going to see that movie again.
Yeah, it's on Netflix, so check it out. It's so slippery, I can't quite ever figure it out, and I think that's intentional. But again, just this amazing ability that you just put on one single scene, and it's a perfect scene, but then it leaves like some puzzle piece missing, so that you go back to it, you think about it. You're like, what is he trying to say here? But in a positive way, it makes from moment to moment, it's just utterly compelling filmmaking.
It totally is, and it's the last film that Jordan Peele has made. I think. I don't think he's made anything since.
He's got a movie. The number for was it 2 years ago or something? That the only thing we saw, not a title or anything, just like that monkey's paw with 4 fingers up being his 4th film, and that movie's been delayed now 2 or 3 times. So I do hope that doesn't mean that he's gotten some kind of writer's block or something. But I can't wait to see it. And if he needs to take his time, that's fine. We've got 3 fascinating films from him so far. So.
Delays in movies do not bode well unless you're someone like Kubrick, who perhaps Jordan Peele maybe is looking forward to that.
Exactly. All right. So the Emmy nominations. So outstanding drama. We have The Diplomat. Do you watch The Diplomat? I hear such great things about The Diplomat, and my wife and I tried to watch season 1. We got most of the way through it, and we're just not. And I heard, season 2 is supposed to be the one that really gets you hooked, which I hate when that's the way that people pitch things to me. But anyway, I'm way behind. Have you watched The Diplomat?
I haven't seen. Is that the Kate Blanchett? Is she in that one?
No, it's Kerry Russell.
No idea about this show.
None. Okay, well, okay. Yeah,
no.
It's one of the Netflix more popular films. I mean, series, as far as I know, considering they keep renewing it. But anyway, I've heard great things about it. I think there are at least 3 seasons into it. I think the 4th is coming out this year, and it's a blind spot for me. So,
yeah, same. But Kerry Russell, good mates with old Matthew Rhys. So let's see if he gets nominated.
But I'm not going to spoil it for you, but I think what the answer is going to be. The Gilded Age, which I have not watched, but Carrie Coon, love Carrie Coon. Just seeing her in Gone Girl again. Great to see her there as the Margot, as the twin.
Yeah. White Lotus too.
Yeah, that's really more famous now than she's ever been. Between the Gilded Age and, of course, White Lotus. A Night of 7 Kingdoms. So happy to see this one. I'm not surprised at all to see it here on the list, of course. Loved it, of course. Paradise, which, of course, we discussed here. Not as great as season 1, but fun series. The Pit, of course, not surprising. Pluribus, not surprising. Great show. Slow Horses, which I'm very excited for this season of Slow Horses. I think it's going to tie together. I don't know if I've ever asked you, are you up on Slow Horses at all, or have you seen any of it?
Talk about blind spot. I think I saw the pilot and that's it.
Wow. Okay. What I'd say is that by the time it got to season 4, it feels very formulaic. There's so many of these books that they've adapted. They're always great, incredible performances. But what was so satisfying about season 4 is it seems like they're tying together all these stories we've seen into like a bigger narrative. And the previews, this is something you're probably not aware of. Apple is just so committed to this whole experiment with Slow Horses that they are shooting the next season when the current season is airing. So in the last episode of each season, this goes all the way back to season 1, they give you a trailer for season 2 at the end of season 1. And as I was watching the end of season 4, I'm like, I didn't love this season, maybe my least favorite of these, but it feels like they're going big with the story they're telling. And the trailer they had at the end of season 4 is like action and betrayal and these giant explosions. And I was just like, oh, wow, okay, I'm on board for that. Let's see it.
That's the way to do it.
Right. That's right. So they've been slow rolling us the whole time. I love it. And by the way, I don't hate this show, but the last nominee here on outstanding drama is Your Friends and Neighbors. Come on. Come on.
I'm yet to dip into season 2, and I may not.
I think this is for season 1 because of the way the calendar lines up, I believe. And that is the better of the 2, but still, come on. Okay, lead actress in the drama, Carrie Coon for The Gilded Age. Chase Infinity for The Testaments. Love Chase Infinity from One Battle After Another. I have not seen this Testament show. Did your wife by chance, or you as well, happen to watch The Handmaid's Tale at all? Did I ask you this question already?
Yeah, she got sucked in every year to that Handmaid's thing. Yeah. I never saw it. I just would walk past while she's watching it. She's like, go away, it's for me. All right, fine.
Yeah, it's too grim for me, I got to tell you. But but this is the spinoff, The Testaments, and of course Chase Infinity. Supposed to be excellent in it, and she was utterly remarkable in One Battle After Another. So.
Yeah, I love her.
Kerry Russell in The Diplomat. Rhea Seehorn for Pluribus. Let's give it Rhea Seehorn. Come on.
Done. Just give it to her straight away.
Just give it to her. Exactly. And Zendaya for Euphoria. Love her. I should say, not a huge fan. Not her fault of the way they used her in this current season, but did love her in previous seasons of Euphoria.
Yep.
Lead actor Sterling K. Brown for Paradise. Gary Oldman for Slow Horses. What an incredible performance he's giving in Slow Horses, by the way. As long as he stays there, that show's going to keep going. Mark Ruffalo for Task. Love. Task was not nominated. By the way, Your Friends and Neighbors nominated for Best Series. Task not nominated. Come on. I was a big fan.
Crazy.
Rufus Sewell for The Diplomat. He plays the husband. And Noah Wiley for The Pit. No surprises there. All right. For Best Supporting Actress, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 actresses from The Pit. We have Allison Janney from The Diplomat. We have Julianne Nicholson from Paradise. Oh, and of course, we have Carolina Widra from Pluribus, who plays the alien ambassador character, which would probably be my winner in this category.
She was excellent, that's for sure. I do like the Nicholson from Paradise as well. She played a good role.
Yeah, I think she helps. You need a good villain there, and she's an interesting villain in that show. Best Supporting Actor, we have 1, 2, 3 The Pit actors. We have Billy Crudup for The Morning Show, Blind Spot for me. Jack Loudon from Slow Horses, very good, by the way, plays River on there, one of the lead characters, even though it's supporting in this particular case. Tom Pelfrey for Task, a terrific performance, I think. And again, just to shout out Pluribus again, Carlos Manuel Vesga in Pluribus, great performance, obviously, by that character. I mean, having to do so much work with very little dialogue is always hard to be compelling on screen with very little dialogue. And great job on that part.
That's huge for him to get a nod because I'm expecting a lot more of him next season.
Oh, yeah. He's going to be a much bigger part for sure. And apparently he's taught himself English along the way. So definitely be easier to communicate with Farrell. Best Actress in the Drama, we have 3 pits. We have anyone here that jumps out at me. Shailene Woodley for Paradise, which is a good one. Guest Actor in a Drama, we have Coleman Domingo in Euphoria. I'm not sure if that'd be more than a guest actor, considering how pivotal he is at the end of that show. Jonathan Pryce on Slow Horses. That's a really good performance, by the way. Bradley Whitford on The Diplomat. Okay, comedy series, we have Abbott Elementary, The Bear. Yeah, hilarious, The Bear. Hacks, which, again, I loved season 1 of Hacks. I was kind of like, okay on season 2, and we just went for a hike with a couple who lives near us, and the wife was saying like the ending of the Hacks, and I've heard this from critics as well, it's like a perfect ending, and I'm like, oh man, I'm like 2 seasons behind on that show. I'm like, do I have to watch 2 seasons because I want to see the ending? I'm like, oh, I don't know if I could do it, but maybe that's something I have to do. Margot's Got Money Troubles, big fan of that one.
Yeah,
and my wife's caught up on that, by the way. She loved it. Nobody Wants This. Season 2, me and my wife loved season 1. Didn't even make it through season 2, to be honest.
Same.
Only Murders in the Building. I gave up on that one already. Shrinking, which could have been better. And of course, last slot here for Outstanding Comedy, Widow's Bay, baby. Widow's Bay. That's the winner.
Yes. Let's go.
Although I love Margot too. Margot's good. Lead actress, we have Abbott Elementary with Quinta Brunson. Ayo Edebiri for The Bear. Elle Fanning for Margot, fantastic performance. Lisa Kudrow for The Comeback. I know you're a fan of that one.
Big fan of that. Yeah, she's fantastic.
And Jean Smart, of course, for Hacks. She's going to win again, but can we give it to someone else? For God's sake? Lead actor in a comedy, Yai Abdul-Mateen II for Wonder Man. Great performance, by the way. Steve Carell for Rooster. Very good performance, by the way. I was a big fan of Rooster. Big fan. That should have been nominated for Best Comedy. Matthew Rhys for Widow's Bay, baby, of course. Shrinking, Jason Segel. I'm not a huge fan of Segel in general, by the way. That show's still good, though. Okay. And Only Murders, gave up on that one, like I said. That's Martin Short. Supporting actress, Dale Dickey, who plays Rosemary in Widow's Bay. Hilarious. Hannah Einbinder for Hacks. I like her in season 1, but I haven't seen that, like I mentioned. Janelle James from Abbott Elementary, who's won an Emmy before. Michelle Pfeiffer for Margot's Got Money Troubles, a good one. Megan Stalter for Hacks, never saw that one. and Jessica Williams for Shrinking, which is she's one of my favorite characters on that show. But of course, who's going to win? The best new character of the year, Kate O'Flynn in Widow's Bay, for sure.
That's a stacked section.
That is a stacked category. Yes, for sure. Absolutely. Best supporting actor, we have Coleman Domingo in The Four Seasons. You did watch the first season of Four Seasons. Is that right?
Yeah, we're all caught up. I love that show, even though it's instantly forgettable, though, as soon as you finish it. But it's very, very enjoyable and very funny. And I love all those characters.
We actually, me and my wife were talking the other day about all the shows that Steve Carell has done since leaving The Office, in which he's been killed on the show. It's like, wow, that's kind of a pattern for him now. Coleman Domingo for The Four Seasons, Paul W. Downs for Hacks, haven't seen it. Harrison Ford for Shrinking, very good, by the way. He gives a terrific performance in that show. Nick Offerman for Margot's Got Money Troubles. Stephen Root for Widow's Bay, baby. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Michael Urie for Shrinking. He's also going to be a regular on The Pit this year, a young actor who's really come up for big time. And then Tyler James Williams for Abbott Elementary, who I don't think he's ever won, but he's been nominated quite a few times. Who else do we have? A guest actress, Jamie Lee Curtis for The Bear. This is for last season, I guess. Yeah, she has a couple of really good episodes in that last season. Betty Gilpin for Widow's Bay. There you go.
Okay.
And the whole category. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the 7 nominees are Hacks. Guest actor in a comedy, Michael J. Fox for Shrinking, Brett Goldstein for Shrinking, Hamish Linklater for Widow's Bay, playing the desiccated old creature. Hacks again, Rob Reiner for The Bear. Of course, I mean, he's going to win in this category.
Wow.
Posthumously, of course. And Connor Story for Saturday Night Live. It's always weird when they put do something like that. They put a...
He's from that Heated Rivalry show. Is that?
Because he hosted. Yeah, I guess that's how. Yes. I didn't even recognize the name. I thought he was a cast member. Yes. But it's probably it's when he guest hosted on Saturday Night Live, I guess. Okay. Outstanding Limited Series or Anthology. I'm kind of shocked, I have to say, that Half Man is not nominated here. Although he did get some category nominations, but I was assuming that it would be nominated for Best Limited Series. We have All Her Fault. Did you watch this one, All Her Fault?
I think the wife watched it. No, I don't think I did.
My wife watched it, and I dipped in and out, and it was crazy. It's very over the top. Not great. The Beast and Me also. My wife saw that one as well. Beef was nominated. Nice. DTF St. Louis, which would probably be my winner in this category, and Love Story. Did you watch any of Love Story, by chance?
I did not watch Love Story, no.
I think Beef would be my winner. It was a huge hit, but I don't know anybody who saw it, like nobody. And what's in the TV movie? Heads of State gets nominated for Best TV Movie. That's hilarious. That's the John Cena and Idris Elba. Where they're supposed to be the British and the U.S. president action movie. That's pretty funny. That's on the list of best movies of the year.
I think I made it 10 minutes into that.
That's a pretty slim pickings over here. People We Meet on Vacation, Remarkably Bright Creatures, Jack Ryan, Ghost War, which I hear is terrible, by the way. And lead actor in a limited series, something we have not discussed. Black Rabbit, Jason Bateman's on here, which I was a big fan of that, by the way. And Charlie Hunnam for The Monster, Ed Gein. I think hated that series, but I thought he actually gave a pretty good performance. Matthew Rhys nominated again, so 2 nominations for him for The Beast and Me. But Riz Ahmed nominated for Bait. I did finish Bait, by the way. And I have to tell you that I'd seen the whole entire series when we talked, except for the finale. And I'm like, I hope it really nails this finale. And you were like, well, it doesn't quite nail the finale. And I have to say that the finale was the worst part of that. But I did like it overall. But the finale, not the strongest.
Yeah, it was a real shame, wasn't it? Because that was a really fun series.
Best Supporting Actor in a Limited Series, one of the nominees is there's 1, 2, 3 DTF St. Louis nominations. And you have Charles Melton for Beef, great performance, by the way. Nick Offerman, again, for Death by Lightning, which is terrific miniseries, if anyone has seen it. It's such a quick watch. It's so good. But Richard Gadd nominated for Half Man. I'm like, supporting actor? That's a weird category for that. I guess Jamie Bell was Best Actor. But not nominated. So that's not all the lists, but that's kind of the high level. Anything jump out at you there that kind of like really that you would have liked to have seen or that you want to shout out?
Oh, look, I'm just happy that Widow's Bay's got a stack of nominations there and hopefully brings home some wins. Also, Pluribus, definitely worthy. Notable missing nominations. I'm not sure. I'll have to have a think about it. But I feel like they kind of zero in on a handful of shows and just give it all to those people. Yeah. So, and I feel like the Pit had their year last year, but with Emmys, it's almost like you need to knock out the champ, right, to get it. So it's like they keep winning until something really knocks it out. So, yeah, to be honest, the Emmys is not a must-see TV, but I am very interested in to see who gets nominated and, of course, who wins.
Yeah, honestly, I don't watch the shows anymore, not even the Academy Awards anymore. For me, I'm always just kind of rooting for... It's funny because the Academy Awards, for example, famously get better ratings when really popular movies get nominated because people tune in for that. And I'm the exact opposite. Like, I love when I see like a movie like Anora win because I'm like, it's going to be huge now. Like that movie will actually make tens of millions of dollars more because it won Best Picture. And that's, for me, all I really care about. Like, take a small film and put it in a spotlight and make it more, have a larger audience, as opposed to like, the Avatar is going to win, which it did. But, in case, as an example, I'm like, Avatar already made $2 billion. Who cares? Right? It doesn't need any more accolades. It's already the biggest movie of all times, right? Like, let's spread it around a little bit. So, so all that is to say that same thing with the Emmy Awards. If Widow's Bay wins the Emmy, then of course way more people will see it. Just like Severance, when it got all those nominations earlier, and then it'll be a huge hit next year. It was already a hit this year, by the way, but even bigger hit. Or like Night of the Seven Kingdoms, if that can put that series, which is already hugely popular, into like a broader audience, that's great. And that's really all I root for, But like you said, oftentimes it's like, if you've won before, like if the Pit's just going to win as long as they keep coming out with another series.
Well, that's something missing is Severance. I mean, the second series should have been nominated for something, but that was
I think it was last year because it ended. It was nominated last year. Yeah. And the same thing with the studio. The studio was nominated last year. It's kind of hard because it has to that's where the weird thing with the dates and why you have all those shows wrapping up in June, because they have to be wrapped up by the end of June with all their episodes so that it'll be qualified for this Emmys. So sometimes you'll have like The Bear, for example. I guess The Bear is, no, it doesn't. Anyway, I guess The Bear has always been, you're nominated for last season. So yeah, I think it's the same case this year. Maybe not though, because it did come out. I'm confused. On that one, I'm confused. But all that is to say that the studio, for example, was not nominated this year because its season was within last year's calendar. Same thing with Severance. Same things.
Clear as mud.
Yes, of course. Oh, and then depending on if you're a limited series or a returning series, like Widow's Bay qualifies because even though it didn't wrap up until after the cutoff, which was the end of May, because I've got my months wrong, was the end of May was the cutoff. But because it's a series, it can actually have additional episodes beyond the cutoff. If you're a limited series, they have to all air before the cutoff. So it's all just whatever. It's all whatever. Who knows?
That's interesting that you don't know if it's a series or a limited series yet because it hasn't been greenlit for a second season. So you kind of have to call it.
Well, exactly. Like Widow's Bay, for example, they have to announce that it's going to be a returning series before the votes go in, because if it's an anthology, then it goes into one category. There's a set of competition. If it's a series, then it's coming back, and now it goes into a different category. So like DTF St. Louis, Task is a perfect example, by the way. Task could have been a limited series, but then they announced that there would be a season 2. So now it's a series, and it didn't get nominated. It definitely would have been nominated if they had put it in as a limited series. But it couldn't beat the stellar, amazing category of dramas in there, including Your Friends and Family, Friends and Neighbors.
That Mark Ruffalo, obviously he's always a front runner for everything. Yes. But that other supporting actor, I forget his name, but he was really fantastic as well.
Pelfrey, I think his name is.
Yeah,
yes,
killer in that show.
Yeah, great cast in general in that show, by the way. Okay, Let's get into our Nolan rankings. Do you want to go last to first or first to last? Which one do you think? I'll let you decide because I'm kind of torn on which one might be a more interesting comparison.
Well, I think we got to go last to first, right? Because that's just the way you do lists. You got to start at the bottom. I've got 12 films of his. Are we doing all 12? Yep.
Yeah, let's do all 12, right? I mean, we could do like a top 10. Is that? Do you think 12 is too ambitious? What do you...
Well, let's start at 12 because let's go through every film.
Let's do them all. Let's do them all. Yeah. We don't have to spend 10 minutes talking about each one, but let's not talk about the films because, there's plenty of material people can reach out to figure out the films. Let's just kind of talk about why they're ranked as they are.
Okay. All I'll tease is that I've got a very controversial number one, I think.
Okay, yeah, I'm very curious. I like that because the reason I wanted to go maybe 1 to 12 would be that I thought that we might have commonality at the top of the list, and then it kind of gets wacky by the end. But maybe it's wacky all over the place. Let's just start at the bottom. Let's just start at the bottom and work our way.
Yeah, mine's pretty wacky. Well, at number 12, I'll start. Number 12, I've got The Following, his first film. I only just saw it recently. Bit of fun, but yeah, can you really call it a film if it's a student film? I'm not sure. That's my number 12.
This is going to be controversial. I was so torn on this until like the very last moment. I had Following also as my number 12, which, we discussed it here on the podcast on the main feed, by the way, if anybody wants to track that down. We did discuss it on the main feed. And I think it's very impressive for very limited resources, like you mentioned. But I was torn on what I was going to put at the bottom of the list. And I got to tell you, I have recently rewatched Tenet, and I had to put it at the bottom of the list.
Wow.
And I'm really torn on this because I kind of try to weigh a film out on like its level of ambition. And I have to tell you that when I saw Tenet the first time, the first half of Tenet, I was like pulse racing. I was so into it. And by the end, I was just exhausted and I had a headache and I was just so disinterested in what was happening in the film, despite the fact that I absolutely love Robert Pattinson in the film. But other than that, I just was so not engaged with the film by the end. And on the one hand, I'm like, well, an incredibly ambitious, one of his most ambitious films. Half of it is incredibly well made. That can I even put Following? But I'm like, if I have to weigh those two things out, which one is more successful at what it's trying to do? They both have their own limitations. One of the complexity. Following is just like made on a shoestring. Following is the better film, I have to say. So Tenet is my number 12.
Okay, well, I have more to say about Tenet later in the list.
Okay. What's your number 11?
Number 11, Batman Begins. I've seen it a few times and it's never really hit for me. It doesn't really feel like Batman for me. And that's number 11 on my list.
My number 11 is Following, as I just already said. It's like, so as a student film, one of the best. I mean, it's a calling card. It made his career. It has all of his themes in it. Day one, great work. But it's a first film, and an excellent one, but that's all it is. Very, 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 it's just what it is on its face. But I mean, even there, he's playing with time. He's, playing with identity. There's a lot of themes in there, but it's a student film.
It is. And I like how it all came together at the end. It was a bit tricky, a little bit elevated for a student film, but yeah.
What's your number 10?
Number 10, I really like all these films coming up, so it's difficult to rank them. But number 10, I've got The Prestige.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead. Tell me about it.
I've only seen it a couple of times. It's a bit of a magic trick. So once you know the magic trick, I guess you watch it again just to see how they've done it. I think there's a character of Tesla in the film, which I really enjoy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's really fun. But
Bowie playing Tesla.
Yes, that's right. That's why I remember that character. Very cool. But yeah, I never saw it at the cinema. So yeah, it's just a kind of home DVD for me.
I am looking at my list because I have my old list and now I'm looking at it because of all the rewatching I did. And I'm trying to remember. And to your point, by the way, even Tenet, I love. All of these. I like Following. You heard me be very complimentary of it in our conversation. And Tenet is great for at least half of it and has good stuff even later on. So I don't dislike any of these films, really. And so I just want to be clear about that, even though we're putting them lower on the list. My number 10, man, The Prestige can definitely be in that number 10 slot, but I think it's Inception is my number 10.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Inception's a movie that, with people just love that film. And, he has such a cult. Everybody loves all his films, period. But there's, and you heard it in my conversation with Alan, it's probably the film I downvoted the most. It's so, all the things I don't like about Nolan's films are he's still trying to explain things 90% of the way through the film. And, it's just takes me out of, we talked about how Nope just continuously pulling me into the film. When people have to take a break to explain the rules of the logic of whatever contraption that he's built that we're stuck inside of the movie he's making, that when he's got to stop to tell us everything again or explain what's going on so it makes some kind of sense. And dialogue is not great. And also the audio is so muddy. It really rubs me the wrong way. And Inception is, despite some wonderful action sequences, it's just not great. And it's the one that kind of bothered me the most on rewatch.
I loved Inception, watching it at the cinema, and when it came out on DVD, loved it. But I watched it recently with my son, and like you, the amount of exposition that they do in almost every scene was kind of stunning and really took me out of the film. So yeah, while it's a bit higher on my list, it did drop a few places just recently.
Are we up to number 9? Is that where we are?
Number 9, Insomnia. I think it's one of his earlier films. I think it's Al Pacino plays a detective that goes into like the Arctic Circle where it's endless daylight, and he kind of goes a bit crazy. And I think it's a remake that I'm thinking of. Yeah. And Robin Williams plays against type. Robin Williams is one of my wife's favorite actors, and she'd never heard of this film. So I'm going to have to watch it with her to show her another dark side of Robin Williams, because he did this and he did 1 Hour Photo quite a similar time. So it really was
same year, I think,
different actually. For him. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. But yeah, I really like this film. I haven't seen it for ages, so it deserves a rewatch.
I think you should rewatch it. It's much higher for me. I always really liked it, and I had not revisited it and then watched it again for this rewatch. And in the context of two things, one is, I like the fact that he's still relatively small scale in that film. And also the fact that people say, well, it's not really a Nolan film because it's like a remake. And then you think about all those themes in all of Nolan's films, and you watch that, and it is a remake and relatively faithful. There's some changes to it, but relatively faithful. And it is also it's full of Nolan's themes. So it's like it really is, even though it's kind of like he was a gun for hire. I think that I have it higher. That's what it comes to.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right. My number 9 is, oh man, where am I going to go with this one? It's probably Batman Begins. I think my number 9 is Batman Begins. Same thing. I think you mentioned already that it's fine. It has, I love the analog, the action, like cars driving through walls and stuff. But other than some of the action, which is better in the other films, it is like pretty perfunctory. And nothing blows me away in this one at all, especially given the rest.
Yeah, I think I expected a lot more for a Batman film, especially for the start of a series and a big budget. I wanted more and didn't get it until The Dark Knight.
Yep. What's your number 8?
Number 8, I've got Dunkirk. I think I've only seen it once, unfortunately. So it's due a rewatch. I love the story of the boats crossing the channel to pick up the survivor. I just love that. But I feel like the story was very cut up. It plays with time. It's a lot of different locations and different characters. It didn't really feel super cohesive to me, but I loved the performance of the older guy. I forget his name, that he was the captain of the boat, and also that young, I'm terrible with names at the moment, that young guy. It was the first time we've seen him on screen, and he's been in heaps of movies since he's been movie star now. But yeah, Dunkirk.
Yeah, I have that one higher, but we can save my conversation about that for a little bit later. So we did Batman Begins. I think my next one is The Prestige. I think The Prestige is next. Same issues you had. I remember seeing this in theaters, and thinking it was fine. And the critics weren't over the moon on this one compared to some of Nolan's other films. And then everybody was just like, oh, it's the best movie I've seen in my lifetime. People were just like going crazy for it. So I'm like, maybe I need to rewatch it. And I did rewatch it again, even very recently. And it's still, I don't understand. It definitely worked better for me this last time watching it. Some of the emotion hit. This idea that, you're this performer, but you're like hidden behind stage, which is probably how Nolan feels as well. So it's probably a pretty personal film for him. So some of that worked for me more, the emotional part of it, but just still the logistics of it and all that clunky dialogue and all the things that like bother me with some of Nolan's, all those things are very apparent in that film. So it's kind of just the middle of the pack for me, not the genius work of art that people claim it is.
Yep. Cool. Number 7 we're up to now.
Yeah.
I've got The Dark Knight Rises. I missed this in the cinema, unfortunately. So I managed to have a night by myself and I sat down and watched this. I actually really enjoyed it because it got critically panned. I think that's why I missed it. Yeah. I really enjoyed sitting down and watching it, even though it's too long.
Yes.
And the whole wrapping up in the ending, it completely lost me. I can't even remember what happened.
Yes, exactly.
But the opening scene and the introduction of Bane, I think is one of the best action scenes of all time. Absolutely love it. I just put it on just to watch that scene. I've seen that, half a dozen times. Yep. Dark Knight Rises.
The same thing. I have it at my number 7. Same thing as well, by the way, when I saw it in theaters and that negative reaction to it, I had it pretty low on the list my first time around. And then I watched it again and just so different to see it now. And of course, we talked about it again, pitching to Patreon. These are free, by the way, if anybody wants to hear these reviews. They're on the Patreon feed right now. But the Dark Knight Rises was, for the first 2/3 of it, the first 2 hours, I'm like, is this the best Batman movie? Why was I so wrong about this? And then, of course, it gets very Bane heavy and the last hour is like all over the place. It's a total mess. So I am like, oh, yeah, that's why I didn't rank it so highly. But for the first 2 hours, I loved it. It was really sharp and smart. And like you mentioned, I remember seeing the opening sequence and being like, oh, they're trying to be another really superlative opening sequence like The Dark Knight, and they're not really doing it. And then watching it now and being like, oh my God, they hung an actual plane from another plane. Like, this is incredible filmmaking. So
absolutely insane. Yeah.
Yes. And now where nothing is done practically anymore. And I'm like, oh my God, this is absolute insanity. Like the whole thing where the fuselage, like you have someone hanging off a rope and the entire fuselage of the plane falls away from them. And you're like, oh my God, this is insanity. Like the scope of this filmmaking. And anyway, it's very impressive. And for that alone,
I just want to watch it now.
Yeah, the first 2 hours, then just stop. Make up your own ending at that point. Which, unfortunately, is kind of a theme with Nolan's films sometimes.
It really is. I'm starting to see that. Yeah, unfortunately. Okay, well, as we're talking, Inception is dropping down the list rapidly. So I've got Inception at number 6. It's just dropped a spot. Yeah. Incredible filmmaking. The way that the dream within a dream sequence and the way they do it, it's completely crazy. So dumb, really, when you think about it. But I just thought it was pure cinema at the time. But yeah, it's dropping fast.
Yes, it's rough. It's a rough rewatch, gotta tell you. But I did love aspects of it for sure. Okay, my number 6, that was your number 6, right? My number 6 is, where am I? I guess my number 6 is going to be Insomnia. I have Insomnia up here. I thought it might be even end up higher, but I love Insomnia. I like film noirs. I liked him working on a more intimate scale. This is the last time he didn't go into like 100 million. Well, I take that back. The Prestige as well was relatively modest. They budgeted, but other than that, he's mega budgeted films beyond that. And I like it. I mean, like the back and forth. I really highly recommend you watch this with your wife, by the way. The back and forth, the kind of like two sides of the coin, the Harvey Dent and Batman of Al Pacino and Robin Williams talking to each other on a phone, being like, you're like me. And they're like, and Pacino as the cop being like, am I like you? That's kind of terrifying. And again, the theme is there even that early on. And it's really great stuff. Great performances. The two of them just amazing. And there's this incredible sequence where he's trying to run across these like logs and he gets trapped underneath it. Just amazing action sequence.
Very cool. Yeah, it just blows my mind that there's a place on Earth that has 24 hours of sunlight.
I know, it's crazy.
It's just insane. Yeah.
So that's number 6. What's your number 5?
All right, top 5. I've got Oppenheimer as number 5. Just what is it? It's a historical biography that everyone went to see, which is so
Yes.
bizarre. It's people talking for 3 hours, but we all loved it.
Right.
And the sequence in the middle, I think it's about in the middle when he's testing the bomb for the first time. Like I say, it's pure cinema. It's some of the best Nolan that you'll see. And this was a film that I had to go by myself to watch it on the biggest screen possible, and loved every second of it. But I don't know if I'll watch it again, which is interesting with Nolan films, how they deserve rewatches. But I feel like I've watched it. Yeah.
I have it higher, so I'll save my opinion of that for then. But my number 5 is Interstellar. If you heard my conversation, Alan was just nitpicking away at Interstellar, and there are so many nits to pick. I agree, but I have been critical of Nolan's action in the past. This film has incredible action sequences. It has beautiful world building, like almost invisible. For the most part, he does a pretty good job, except for the most obvious egregious points that everybody makes fun of, where the dialogue is not awful. It has a terrible ending, like really, for me, just a terrible ending. But man, for like 2 hours, and especially the entire middle of this film, the visuals and the action is like pulse pounding. I've seen this movie multiple times, and it still is utterly pulse pounding. I loved the whole middle section of this very long movie, but it's incredible filmmaking, I think.
I've got Interstellar at number 4. I was watching it last night and I was really enjoying it. And I have the same nits to pick that Alan does, but I kind of roll with them a little bit more.
Right.
And the ending didn't work for me. I remember watching it in the cinema with my brother-in-law, and we were just blown away by the space sequence. It's just insane, the science fiction of it all. Is it Timothée Chalamet's one of his first movies?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was watching it and I was like, what is that, Chalamet? I'm like, yeah. Yeah, a bit rough at the start, but last night I had to go to bed and they were just almost at the wormhole, and it was just so stunning. Don't know about that robot. That robot just seems a little bit, I don't know, it just looks like people are holding him just outside a frame. Not sure about that. But Interstellar, I want to watch the rest of it. I've seen it a number of times, and cool film.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that one. And I like the robot, by the way. I remember when the first time the robot shows up and it's kind of like boxy, like an unmade, like one of those, not the Rubik's Cube, but those toys you had as a kid where you can fold them into different shapes. And that's basically what it ends up being. So when I first saw it, I'm like, wow, this thing is a horrible design for a robot. And then you kind of start seeing it transform into different shapes. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool, actually. So, and even that's kind of won me over the course of the film.
And that water planet is one of the most nail-biting sequences I've ever seen. So
oh my God. But everything from that point on, like when they go to see Dr. Mann and that whole escape from the planet's surface, and then the ship spinning out of control, and then them having to dock as it's spinning. It's, oh my God, all of that is just absolutely nuts. And then they escape the gravity and they get sucked into the black hole. It's like an hour and a half of action. The movie just doesn't stop. It's insane.
And just getting your head around that they were on the water planet for however 10 minutes or whatever, and they go back up to see the doctor guy.
Oh my God, the kids have aged terribly. Devastating. My God. So
I still cannot get over that.
I remember seeing that in the theater and knowing it psychologically that time had passed, but then having to watch the videos of his kids aging, and I was like, oh my God, like my heart in my throat. It was devastating. So good. And it's amazing that like he's so clunky at the end, but like those sequences, those emotional moments are so powerful and conveyed visually, right? And then he just has these absolutely clunky, horrible dialogue sequences. It's rough. Speaking of which, so my number 4 is Dunkirk. And I've talked about this on the podcast before. One of the main reasons I love Dunkirk so much was that, first of all, it is just that. It's just that has that siren sound. What do they call that note that continuously sounds like it's going up? It is the score for the entire film, and your blood is just pounding, and it's just continuous stress, one suspense sequence after another, really puts you in the perspective of these people trying to survive. But the reason I loved it so much when I saw it was that I was at a point where I'm like, I'm so tired of his clunky scripts. And then he follows up all of that with a movie that has almost no dialogue at all, which I thought was remarkable, truly remarkable.
I'm going to have to put that one on a rewatch. Yeah, because I remember plenty of it that was great in it, but it just didn't really hit for me. So I'm going to have to watch that one again.
What's your number 3?
Number 3, The Dark Knight, the best DC comic book film ever, possibly the best comic book film ever. I just love it so much, not just for the performance of the Joker from Heath Ledger, but I just love the action. I just love the way it all comes together. I like that Eckhart guy as Two-Face. I thought that was cool to have a separate villain in it, and it's just an opera. And also, I love seeing those IMAX sequences on a big TV. Again, it's one of those films that I just show the kids the Joker bank vault scheme at the start because it's just so spectacular. I love watching this film.
The Heat sequence, right? Like a big fan of the movie Heat as well.
Yep.
The number 3 for me also, The Dark Knight. It's pretty funny. The Dark Knight for me was one of those movies that I saw over and over again. Every time I saw it, I was like, it has its flaws, but man, I just love every second of this. And has actually come down on the rewatch, which is funny because I still end up with a 4.5 star rating, but it was like previously it's like, I want to give it 5 stars, but it's got some pretty big flaws. So I have to knock it down to 4.5, although in my guts, it's a 5-star movie. And now it's like, it's actually a 4-star movie, but I still give it 4.5 because it's like Ledger's so incredible. I got to tell you, the thing that didn't work for me on this rewatch, Dent was always kind of a weak character for me, and it really doesn't work for me this time around. I mean, I could change my mind again, but for some reason, every time I've watched it, the flaws didn't really bring down the score that much. And this time, the whole Dent part is a little off for me.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. I'm looking forward to watching it again. I haven't seen the whole thing for a number of years. And yeah, with all these comic book movies, especially DC comic book movies coming out that people are just completely turned off on, maybe you need to go back to Nolan and do something like that again.
Have Nolan come back and, bring Robin back. He did set them up with a movie with The Dark Knight Rises, by the way. They could have gone in that direction. They did.
Yeah, true. Okay. True. That's right. It was there. It was all there.
Yeah. He said he left it for them, but they were like, nah, Ben Affleck, Batfleck. Okay, what's your number 2?
Okay, my number 2, I think, is going to be your number 1. It's Memento.
Yes.
What an incredible film. So mind-bending. I watched it really recently, like a few weeks ago with my son and my wife, and we were just blown away. Just imagining how someone can write a script like that and film it, and to have it actually just legible for an audience. The first time I saw it with a bunch of mates. One of the guys said, "Oh, I didn't get that film at all." I said, "Oh, did you like the way it was backwards?" He's like, "What? It was backwards? What are you talking about?" He couldn't get his head around it. And I thought that was just so funny that he completely missed this masterpiece of a film. Yeah, Memento, love it.
Yeah, that's my number 1. And, I'll tell you what my number 2 is, but which you could probably guess. But yeah, just to piggyback on that, it's still, to this day, I spoke about it on the podcast on the main feed. I was going to do like a preamble before my conversation with Alan. And I talked about it by myself for like 40 minutes because it's still like, I still find new, fascinating, themes in it. And as clunky and as unsophisticated as his scripts can oftentimes be, I really want to see him after the Odyssey. I really want to see him try to scale back a little bit on his budgets and the stories he tells. Because I think that when he had less resources, he makes something like Memento that is so rich. And it's again, like I was talking about Nope earlier, a film that still has its mysteries, even as you're watching it, things that are unanswered. He allows things to go unanswered. You have to fill in your own blanks. And like you said, it's so easy to read the film. And it's not only like a stunt, it actually has a purpose in folding the story exactly where it does. Which, I won't spoil here in case by some miracle people haven't watched the film already, but it is, truly an amazing piece of work, and I still absolutely love it. But my number two, just to let you have your number one last, that was my number one. My number two is Oppenheimer, and I do recommend you rewatch it. I had seen that in theaters, had that whole IMAX experience, and then it became available to watch on Amazon Prime about a year ago. And last summer, I sat down and watched it with my wife, and my wife's like, I'm kind of tired. I'm not going to be able to watch a 3-hour movie. And I think she watched until we got to the hearings at the end, she watched 2 hours and 40 minutes of it, because it is, again, just this clock ticking that's pulling you and pulling you and pulling you, the momentum of telling the story and the historical accounts of it. And what I would say is, I think you do throw this on as just, you may think in your mind it's more like a history lesson, even though it was a compelling watch. Will it have that kind of pull again? And I'm like, it's just such an exceptionally well-made film that it is utterly compelling to watch. It's just one of those kind of miraculous pieces of filmmaking. And I highly recommend you do check it out again. I think you may even appreciate it more the second time around.
Amazing. It just looks gorgeous as well.
Oh, and, even on Amazon Prime, on our big screen, the black and whites, that's so crisp on the screen, on the big screen. It's beautiful. Yeah.
Incredible. What a filmography that this guy has had.
Indeed.
And now my number one was your number 12. Tenet.
Wow. What a surprise. Yes, go ahead.
For some reason, if I wanted to watch a movie right now on this whole list, I would want to watch Tenet. Wow. I think the filmmaking is so incredible. It's a puzzle box of a movie that I haven't completely solved yet. I saw this in the cinemas a couple of times.